Rejecting him was the biggest mistake of my life. So I have a best friend who we'll call Jay, who's also my schoolmate, classmate, and we live in the same residential area. A little description on Jay. He's tall, handsome, athletic, fit, smart, funny and sweet. He even has good hair and the most beautiful eyes. Jay and I had been friends from kindergarten up till high school. When we were in primary school he confessed many times, but I only considered him a friend. I never saw him to be as handsome and amazing as everyone else did. Because I saw him almost all the time of my life. About a month and a half ago, Jay once again confessed to me. This time he did it more maturely and more in a sweet way that I actually felt butterflies in my stomach. But I wasn't sure I felt the same. His confession did really make me think of it, but I really valued our friendship more and I didn't think I felt anything for Jay. So once again I rejected him in a way I regret to this day. I laughed and said, "So I'm still your little obsession. Grow up and move on already, Jay." His face after I said that made me regret my words. He didn't laugh like I did. It seemed like he was fighting back tears. I honestly didn't think he was being 100% serious because he would always say how he will confess 100 times a week to wait for me to say yes. Jay just walked away and left. He didn't come to school the next day. He didn't come outside when I went to call him to walk together to school. He ignored my calls and texts, and when he did see them, he never responded. At first I was angry at him. Why was he taking rejection so seriously? I already rejected him enough times for him to get used to it. That's what I thought then. But the more I didn't get the notification of his text, his random FaceTimes, the goofy TikToks he'd send me, the more I didn't get to see his name pop up on my notifications. I felt bad. I had made so many tries to text him when I finally sent him an apology of a paragraph, but it was then I found out he blocked me. He came back to school after missing 2.5 weeks out. Those 2.5 weeks I thought of him always. Our desks were together, so I'd zone out while staring at his desk. One of my friends even told me I might have fallen for you, but I denied it. I denied it until I saw him when he came back. Jay looked like a whole different person. He had dyed his blonde hair jet black and had gotten an amazing haircut. His aura completely changed as soon as he entered the class. Everyone looked at him and I did too. He sat down at his desk and didn't even turn to look at me. Everyone came and showered him with compliments about his good haircut, and he suddenly had the most charming smile as he thanked everyone. While everyone but me. I turned to him with a happy smile and said, "Black hair really suits you well. You look so handsome." But he ignored me and continued to speak to this other guy who even stopped talking so Jay would react my comment, but nothing. He ignored me the whole morning, and when our homeroom teacher came he asked to switch seats but was denied. He ignored me and hang out with the people he knew I didn't like. He always walk away when I tried to talk to him. I had actually come to accept that I liked him back. I even asked my friends and my sister and even my mom if feeling certain ways after he left meant I liked him, and my mom said, "Maybe he just needed to leave for you to realize how much you care for him." And my friends and sister said the same. I decided to go and tell him the day after he returned. I didn't get the chance in the morning because he went to his new friends, and when I tried to talk to him he went away. I felt so bad that I went crying in the girls' bathroom. I regretted it. I regretted it so much. I wished I had just accepted his feelings then and tried to see if I'd fall for him with time. I shouldn't have waited this long. He ignored me completely and acted like we were never even friends for the rest of the days that followed. I had enough of it though. Since he had me blocked everywhere, I took my sister's phone and sent him a long message confessing my feelings, apologizing and asking him if we could be friends again and telling him how much I missed him. I begged him to talk to me and really hoped he would see it. Now I'm waiting for his reply. I feel so distressed I want to cry. I feel anxious. I feel like he'll make fun of me. Or reject me, even worse, but I'm ready for any response as long as he talks to me and reads my message. What's secret about stacking paper are people too afraid to share? TLDR, I wanted to make money with this app and went on an interesting adventure. I haven't told anyone this story yet because it just sounds pretty absurd just thinking about it, let alone saying it out loud. Background: I'm 25 and my name is Jackson. I'm living alone in an apartment due to not being in close relation to my family anymore, but I'm in an alright situation. That's a story for another time. So, the other day I was at the corner store by my apartment, and as I was checking some items out I had to put 1 to 2 of them back because I just didn't have enough money. I left with my other items and just had my head down the entire time because I was devastated and finally realizing the awful situation I was in. To make things worse, I walked into one of those telephone lines, the big and tall brown poles by streets and sidewalks. I dropped my bag of items and held my head out of pure reaction. I then said to myself, Jesus man. Because that hurt. I looked up and saw this ad stapled onto the pole for this app called Bloom. It was talking about making decent money by financing and investing, which is something I've always wanted to do. It seems like easy money. I grabbed the ad off the pole and walked my way home, but this time with my head up. I called my boss at the motel I worked at and asked for an advance because I really wanted to give this thing a shot. Of course he said no over and over, but persistence is key, folks. He ended up folding, so I swung by on my bicycle to pick up the money and immediately signed up on the app and had a virtual meeting set for later that night. The meeting was just an introduction thing and explaining what they do more thoroughly. Things like teaching you how to invest instead of just having you buy stocks blindly, and how they reward you for learning, which they rarely did in school, so I found it dope. In addition to this, Bloom also had over 1 million users, so I figured it was trustworthy. This is where it gets interesting. As everyone logged off for the meeting, I just sighed and palmed my face, really hoping this would work. That's when I look up and see this one girl practically melting me with his stare. I forgot that I had my camera on, so he starts talking to me once he sees me looking at him. PSSSD. So you're here to make money, huh? I responded with, why are you whispering? It's just us in the meeting, man. You never know who's listening, come here. he says as he inches close to the screen, and for some reason I listened. Was I really this desperate to make money? Meet me at 188 Lincoln Avenue, kid. And the guy just hangs up the call and leaves the meeting. He didn't leave a number or anything. Surely enough, I found myself at this random address in the middle of the night. If you've ever seen Victorious, then this guy was exactly like Sikowitz, the teacher of the show. What I mean by this is he looked super sketchy and maybe homeless but had this trustworthy thing to him. I don't know, it's like I can't explain it. I poop you not, the man came out of nowhere and tapped me on the shoulder, which scared the life out of me. I did some awkward karate poses afterwards. He walks with me to this tunnel and is telling me about how Bloom taught him how to invest and how he made good money through time. Why me? I randomly interject and cut him off. He sighs and says, I just know how it feels to be in this position you're currently in. There was a brief silence afterwards. I was already there and figured I shouldn't turn back. That's when he pulled out a small laptop from his trench coat and decided to give me this free lesson apparently. I said, why would you bring me all the way out here for a lesson? I had to see if you had that inner bloomer in you. That was without a doubt the weirdest encounter and exchange I've ever had in my life, and looking back at that moment 5 years ago still cracks me up. I'll never forget it, and I'm really glad he took me under his wing and taught me how to stack paper through time with Bloom. As I mentioned before, it's been 5 years since then and I am in a much better place financially and mentally. I rekindled the relationships I had with my family and even got myself a dog. Life truly could not be better, and I have my crazy teacher and Bloom to thank for that. I hope you all can see why I haven't really told you about this weird experience. Investing is legit, it turns out, and if someone like me can do it, any of you definitely can. What did the weird kid in your school do that you'll never forget? One time we went to Spain for geology and I noticed this strange girl had a tally chart in the back of her notebook. Now, this girl was odd. She wore all black clothes that were clearly not washed very well. She had bright ginger hair and would wear huge spiky plastic jewelry that was usually bright orange. Big spiky plastic necklaces or bracelets. She would pick her nose aggressively in class. I asked some of the other girls if they knew what the tally in her notebook was about, and they said that she was counting the amount of time she had successfully taken a pee while standing up. I don't know about you, but I found this fascinating. I started casually following her one day on our field trip in Spain, and sure enough, she would find somewhere she thought was discreet. It wasn't discreet. I saw everything. She would undress, then take a pee standing up the whole time with a demonic smile on her face. It was scary. Then she'd put her pants back on, get out her notebook to add another tally mark, then saw her off into the Spanish wilderness to do more geology. It was almost as disgusting as it was mesmerizing. So one day we had a day off to relax and do what we wanted. So everyone agreed we would go to Madrid for the day. So we all get on a big coach and set off. The drive is like 2 hours, 30 minutes in, she starts mumbling to herself about needing the toilet, everyone around her going quiet as she became more agitated. Eventually she jumped up and waddled down the aisle to ask the driver to stop. After a bit of arguing and Spanish shouting from the driver, we pull over. The bus doors open, she walks back up the aisle and gets off using the door halfway down the bus. She takes 3 steps away from the door and starts digging a hole like a badger in heat. Now at this point I think deep down I knew what was about to happen. She's about to take a massive pee right here in front of everyone as the ultimate win against her classmates she clearly hated. But boy, I was wrong. She finished digging her hole. It was quite impressive given how dry the ground was. She turned herself away from the bus, pulled down in jeans and took a squat over the hole. What is this? I thought. Maybe she's too shy for a stand-up pee. Nope, out comes the most horrific poop from her pasty white back door. Like gallons of it, I've never seen so much. The hole she dug, whilst impressive, was not sufficient for the brown mass that spewed forth. She finished, wiped with a small piece of tissue she had in her pocket and got back on the bus. With the same maniacal grin I saw her have with a wild pee. Everyone was silent, our professors just staring at each other, clearly thinking what just happened. Jim. Did that girl seriously just unleash its tsunami in front of 40 people? The rest of the journey was just silence. I think we were all in shock. We get to Madrid and everyone slowly gets off the bus. The girl starts saying again that she needs the toilet and everyone turns to look at her. Her bright orange trousers are soaking wet. Like she'd been swimming. One of the other students said, Jesus Christ, what the hell happened? And casually as anything. She turns to him and says the bus ride was too long. I peed myself a few times.